everyone, I'm Ann. Welcome to the Let's Get Naked podcast, where we dive deep into vulnerability. In this space, we'll explore what triggers us, uncover the patterns holding us back, and discover how to take charge of our own growth. If you're ready to dig in, be vulnerable, and face the tough stuff, then buckle up. It's time to get naked. Valentine's Day is a scam wrapped in roses and unmet expectations. If you're single, you're told you're missing something. If you're partnered, you're silently grading someone against a fantasy they never agreed to audition for. And let's be real, from the guy's side, it's a no-win setup. No matter what he does, it's either not enough, not thoughtful enough, not romantic enough, or not like the movie version that lives rent-free in our heads. Because somewhere along the way, women were sold this glossy, unattainable fairy tale that says our worth is confirmed by how someone else shows up for us on one arbitrary day. That's bullshit. Your worth is not measured by flowers or plans or posts or rings or whether someone chose you today. If one day or one person can make you feel unworthy, abandoned, or unseen, that wound didn't start with them. It started way earlier. And no Valentine can fix that. Here's the power move. We stop outsourcing our worth. We stop handing other people the authority to tell us how valuable we are. We stop expecting partners to heal wounds they didn't create. And we stop punishing men for not living up to a fantasy that was never real in the first place. Love isn't a performance. Worthiness isn't conditional, and you don't need to be chosen today to be enough. We can just stop. And when we do, everything gets lighter, cleaner, healthier. That's the real love story. Today I'm getting naked again with Linzee Belle. I'm not even going to do any other introduction than that other than welcome, Queen, to the show. Yay. Yeah, thank you so much for coming and joining. So
thanks for having me.
Yeah, so for listeners that have checked into other episodes, Linzee was with us a couple of months ago, and we had an excellent conversation. And as we were getting ready for today's episode, we were talking about, wanting to do something for Valentine's Day, because I know a lot of people get twisted up about it. And I thought, you know what, let's just call bullshit and have the conversation. And Linzee does a lot of work with embodiment and being able to really kind of feel into that. I thought you would be an excellent resource to be able to kind of share and help me call bullshit on some of this stuff that just feels not authentic. I think I've never talked to someone who's like, oh, he crushed it out of the park. It's always like, well, I was disappointed here, I was disappointed there, or I didn't have, I'm single this year, or whatever that looks like. And so they feel less than or insecure. And it's like, love yourself, girl. Like, you don't have to have all of that bullshit. So,
When you were reading it, I was like, what does she have up her sleeve around Valentine's Day? And then I heard the bullshit and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I think self-love and love in general should be celebrated every single day.
Yeah.
Like, it's beautiful to have a day, have a moment. Like holidays in general, I really believe like every day should be celebrated. Like every day should be your best day.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%.
Like, we have the power of choice to look at every day of like how much goodness, how much juiciness can I bring to my day? How can the thoughts that I think about myself change and rewire my state so that I feel alive? And like we really have the opportunity to do that in every moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I call bullshit too.
Yeah.
I think it's fun to have a moment to, go on a date. But usually for me, when I plan things, so far out and have this big thing going for me, it doesn't usually even go the way that I wanted to or planned anyway, because you kind of like lose the magic in it as well.
Well, and that's what I think too. I think there's a lot of expectations associated with that. And so guys aren't going to be able to win because you have something in your head. So it doesn't matter what he does. He doesn't meet the expectations. And so then you are bringing the energy to it of like, disappointment,
Sure.
most likely.
Yeah.
Which doesn't feel good to him because whatever effort he put in, and so it's like there's just all of this stuff that goes into it where we have unrealistic expectations, and it's all just a commercialized holiday they put up as soon as fucking Christmas is done or before Christmas is even done. There's
Totally.
Valentine's Day shit up, and it's like, who is that making feel good? Like that just seems like bullshit. So, if you're single, okay, great, fucking date yourself. And like you said, doing that every single day.
Yeah.
And if it's somebody else, like don't have the expectations of something that's not attainable.
Totally.
I had my middle daughter's birthday is on Valentine's Day. And so it's funny because Cameron's been off the hook for a long time, even though he does a nice job of like cooking a nice meal or doing whatever. But, so I've never had that whole thing. And my first husband was one that liked to piss on me so that other guys didn't, So on Valentine's Day, it was always like this big thing at work of like the big teddy bear and the roses. But he wasn't doing it to like show me he loved me. He was doing it to make certain that everyone there knew that I had already been pissed on by a man. And so not having that is
big
excellent.
Dick syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, let me...
Without a big dick.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's like, fuck, you can't win in that situation. It's like somebody that, and that was like spending money we didn't have and like all of these things to like show what.
It's very surface, right?
It is.
Love is connection to me, right? Like there's no amount of money or gifts or things that could prove love for me. Like it's in true connection. And even in my relationship now, it's almost been a year. It's like the things that bring us closer together are actually like the very hard conversations, the intimate conversations of like, okay, here we are, we're in this intimate setting. And the more that we dive into it and understand each other's hearts, understand each other's triggers, understand each other's wounds, well, the sex is like 20 times better anyway, because you're really going deep into what love really is, which is being able and willing to see someone else as they are and choose to love them anyway, right? And like that kind of intimacy, I feel like, is what people search for and fight for on Valentine's Day, but you're never going to really receive it or get that, number one, unless you actually have that relationship within yourself.
Yes.
And you're willing to be a witness and share that with someone else. Like, can you be seen in your messy? Can you be seen in your love? Can you be seen in your desire? And the things that scare you and things that trigger you, and let that be the catalyst for true magic, true mystery of what love can really bring, which can't be planned.
Yeah. You're absolutely right in everything that you say. And I listen to that and it's like, yes. And how do you tell people who are listening how to get that? If you're in a relationship where you don't have that, where it feels like it's surface level, because I talk to a lot of people in my circle and they have that surface level or did have that surface level in past relationships. And it's like, how do you do that? For me, it was crossing a vulnerability line of something that felt really uncomfortable for me to say it. And it was like, what if I just say this anyways? We were at a ball game a couple years ago and I was thinking something in my head that felt like, just really something I never would have said to him before. It was something about just the way my brain works. Something that was just super
human.
Very human, but like something where I feel like with him, because of our dynamic, and I've always been this big, puffy-chested, big dick energy, whatever. That's how I fucking have been for what, that's just who Ann is.
Yeah.
I'm working on like calming that down, bringing some softening. Thank you. But that's how I've always been. And so I never felt really comfortable just being like so incredibly raw and really just like ripping the S off my chest and saying, these are things that happen in my head, the thoughts that I have, or things that are including just, horrible fucked up stuff that happens in my head, but it was something that I had never shared with him before. And we had been together for decades. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to say it.
Wow.
And I did. And we sat there the whole rest of the ball game and it was like we weren't even in public. We just had the coolest fucking conversation on the planet. And since that point, there's nothing that comes into my head that I wouldn't just say to him. Because like you said, when you have that level of intimacy with somebody, it makes everything 10 times better. Like if you want to level up your relationship, Get fucking real naked in front of somebody in a way where thoughts or feelings that you wouldn't normally share, just try it. Right? Like, what is it going to hurt? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You know, or also let them know, hey, I'm going to be real vulnerable here. If you lead with that so that they understand to take the care with receiving that it deserves, you know, because a lot of times people have relationships where surface level, surface level, surface level. And so it feels super weird to just throw out something that's deeper then. Yeah. So like set yourself up for success by saying, hey, I'd like to try something. Yeah. You know, I didn't just like drop it on him in the ball game. I was like,
hey, guess what?
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it was like, hey, this feels super vulnerable for me, but I want to say this. So if you can lead with that so that they know what you're getting ready to land with, that's pretty powerful. But it's like, give the other person in your relationship the credit that maybe they could handle all of that shit and hold space for you. Or say like, you know what, I've thought about that shit too, which is exactly what he came back with, which made me feel like I wasn't some weirdo who had these fucked up thoughts in my brain. So it's just like, that's really incredible to be able to connect on that deeper level. Right?
I love that you're sharing that because, I mean, I think everyone goes through this. Yeah. I think all of us have fucked up shit in our head. We wouldn't be human if we didn't. And it makes me think, like, I go through the same things in my relationship now. Yeah. And we have this thing, you know, like we talk about our values. We talk about what's important to us. Mm-hmm. And when it feels hard and scary, you know, I tend to feel things very deeply and very empathetic and intuitive. But I also have fearful thoughts because of the trauma that I went through, right? Mm-hmm. And so sometimes those things will come up for me. I'm really triggered in the moment and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my biggest trigger and it's happening. Yeah. And I'm like, how is this happening again, you know? And it's nothing that he's doing or his fault, but these thoughts that you're speaking to come from shame, right? Yes. And like shame, I believe, is also the greatest source of your power. And then what you said too, the threading in, weaving in, saying, hey, there's something that's coming up for me. I feel super vulnerable. I also feel scared. And would you be willing to witness me in this? Yes. And have an open conversation about the thing that feels really scary for me. Yeah. And so we'll bounce back and forth, or sometimes I'll feel it and I'll be like, what's going on?
Right. Exactly.
You know, and he's so generous in his ability to be honest in that moment and share those things. But I can't remember who said it. Somebody said that we married our unfinished business.
I believe that.
I think it was Gabor Mate or something like that. And it's so true because even before I really started my healing journey, I was always in relationships with people who were a total representation of my childhood and all the trauma that came with it, right? And so it's like we're trying to complete it and our nervous system is like, this is super familiar. I'm going to go do this thing. But as I've healed and now that I'm in a healthy relationship, it's like, yes, in one way, we're such mirrors of each other, but I now have the capacity to instead be like, you're triggering me, it's your fault, you're just like all the other people, to go, oh, whoa, this trigger is mine?
Yes. Yes. It has nothing to do with him, right? He's just mirroring that back to you.
Totally.
When you realize that in your relationships, it is so incredibly powerful because it's not just, oh, I like you, you like me, logistics work out, whatever. It's like you really get in the trenches with somebody when you can tell them the things that are like, this makes me scared, I'm afraid
this makes me sick.
Exactly. Even when you say like, I'm afraid, this is what makes me scared. Yeah. Even just you saying that makes me feel vulnerable knowing, because that's what the last couple of years has been like, you know, with us too. It's like, this is what I'm afraid of. This is where I feel like this. Because we're supposed to be having those conversations. This is the person that you've chosen to hold your everything.
That's it.
Right? Why would you want to have just a surface level relationship with him? That just seems like, what a waste.
Yeah, and the trust that gets developed in that, like, that's sexy to me, right?
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more.
I was telling Stefan yesterday, he's like, doing little things for me around the house. And like the deeper our trust is with each other, like little things he'll do. I finish a yogurt bowl that I love. I like have this yogurt bowl that I put like Reese's and like all the yummy peanut butter and I just love it. And we sit and watch a show. It's like our thing. every time I go to put it down after, the minute I go like this, he grabs it and he puts it away from me. Like, you're not going to put that down yourself, you know? And like, the deeper we go, the more these little things that he does. And I'm like, wow, he's doing the dishes without me having to say anything.
Why is that the biggest turn
Is it
on?
Valentine's Day? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But the closer you get, these little things mean so much more than a box of chocolates and roses, and like the turn on and the connection and the vulnerability just gets so much more enjoyable. And like, when we die, I think about that all the time. It's like, I can look back and be like, wow, I really met love. Like, I lived.
Yes.
I loved and I lived and I had connection. And my son even talks about that. This morning he was leaving the house and he was like, he said something about his friend, or like a girl. He met a girl and they were like starting to have a cute little thing in 7th grade. And then she liked someone else. So she decided to break up with him. And he was like, had a moment about it, and we had a conversation about the difference between family love with people you've known your whole life, and like you meeting someone and having a conversation with them, and like you think it's love because it's like fluffy and exciting and all these things. And we're having a conversation about it this morning. He's like, yeah, Mom, you know, I'm really I'm over it. You know, I feel good about it because there just wasn't really a lot of trust and connection. And he's 12.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we're doing something here. But I really do think it's because of the person that I've chose to be with and how we are with each other that Sammy can very easily be like, okay, this is what my mom and her boyfriend are modeling. And so he's internalizing that and can like develop that for himself too, which is amazing because it wasn't always like that.
Yeah. Well, and I think you just, even you understanding that the behavior that you have now is what's modeling that for your son. And that's the same thing for our kids. Like, you know, my son will say, you guys set a really great example because we're not like roommates who share the bills, right? Like, I want, you know, Cameron's my person. I want him to be happy. I want to do the things that make him happy. When you talk about getting the yogurt and whatever, when you're in love with somebody like that, like, you want to do the things. Like, that's taking care of and tending that relationship. If you're just sitting there hoping that it would be easy, you don't need that. Like, find a roommate, then you don't have to suck dick. Then you can just...
Speaking of sucking dick, and it makes those things so much more enjoyable because it's kind of like what you were saying, right? Like the bullshit thing about Valentine's Day of when I do these things, then I'll be loved, right? It's this idea that people have that, you know, if I do this thing, then I'm going to get this feeling. And the real idea is when I respect myself and I show up for myself and I'm in connection with my values and making the small promises to myself, my partner sees that as valuable. My partner respects me and vice versa. That is the real intimacy. That is the real aliveness. And then when he goes to get my oil changed without me asking, that feels like the biggest Valentine's Day gift ever because there's this respect happening because I respect myself and he respects himself. And now we have this beautiful little dance that initiates more connection too. Yeah.
You know, looking at relationships where people aren't in tune with themselves as far as what they even want, how would you expect? Like, even if you just talk through that, I don't know what I want. I'm going to find a broken man who I'm not able to express what it is that's important to me or what I want. And then I'm going to beat him up for not doing well on the job interview, you know, and it's like, or on the audition. And it's like, that's what a lot of, I don't know what the percentage is, a lot of relationships look like. And been there, done that, right? So not coming from this place of, no, been there, done that. But it makes perfect sense when you say it out loud. Like, of course, that's not set up for success. How are you going to do that? You don't even know who the fuck you are.
It's like princess syndrome. That's what I call it. Like going from the princess to the queen, or like even the maiden to the mother, right? This like archetypal thing where, because I know I've been in that situation because I didn't have my dad around to protect me and stop things from happening. And that's what I needed as a little girl. And also, thank you so much, because the woman I am now, I'm very grateful for those experiences, right? But I had this tendency where I wanted to be saved.
Yeah.
Right. And so I would look for men who kind of had this archetype that was big and strong and had the bells and whistles. And then when it came down to it, you know, I was looking for them to save me, to make me feel what I felt I had a hole in my heart with my dad, right? And so I'm looking for them to fulfill this thing that actually they could never fulfill. And when it really happened, I'll never forget, I met this guy at a rave, and he was a doctor and very good looking. And I went on a date and I was so excited about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's everything on paper. It's great. It's going to be amazing. And so I go on this date and it was awesome. And I was still like, I was really looking. I felt really lonely and really isolated. So I was just really excited about it, of course. And we go on this date and we talk about our values and what I want and what he wants and all of this beautiful stuff. And lo and behold, you know, I got asked to go out of town on a trip and all this stuff. And then I was ghosted. Like out of nowhere, I was just ghosted. And this was the deal breaker for me. I was so angry and mad, but I was like mad at him. I was really rightfully so.
Yeah.
Mad at him. I remember I called my friend. I got out of bed. I went to the park. I was like running sprints trying to get my anger out. And when I really sat with it, I was like, I keep trying to look for someone to fill this role and to meet these needs and these expectations. And I'm going to be flown out here and go all of these nice dinners. I'm going to be so happy and they're going to take care of me. And when I really went deep within that work, within my masculine, I was like, I am not fulfilling my masculine role for myself. I am not having boundaries. I am not taking care of the things that need to be taken care of at home. Where is my energy leaking in my masculine energy? And once I really understood that, I stopped being the princess that needed men to do all the things for me. And when I started to show up for myself in my masculine and in my feminine, I didn't even need it anymore. I didn't need to date. I didn't need to search. I didn't need someone to buy me gifts. And then that's when I met Stefan out of nowhere, you know, randomly. So
I think it's incredible that when you fix in yourself, when you heal in yourself, when you figure out yourself for what it is that you want, and you understand that you have all of that within your four walls.
That's it.
Right? You can make all of the things happiness. You don't have to be the gal that's sitting at home on Valentine's, you know, crying because you don't have a man. It's like, no. Figure out how to be whole in here without all of that.
Totally.
And then that just becomes a side, you know, like the icing on the top, you know? I think that's
so true.
I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, it was really powerful. And I love sharing stories like that because it's like, I know there's women out there who, like, you are probably looking for this man to fill this need, and it's gotta come from yourself first.
Yeah.
Like asking yourself, I do this practice with clients that's really powerful where it's so simple. We go inside the body, we close the eyes, and we breathe from the feet to the heart, from the heart to the crown. And we do this in cycles, and cycles, and cycles. And we connect to sensation. So what do you hear? What do you see? What do you taste? What do you smell? What can you touch? And when you get that present within yourself, and then you ask this question, what does your spirit want to say? What does your spirit want to say about you? What does your soul want to say about you? Which is so far beyond the human mind and all these things that we think we need to feel whole. And when you really sit with that, and I watch people connect with themselves, at first you're like, what the fuck kind of question is that? Like, because a lot of people don't really know how to access that. But you would be surprised that when people, and even myself when I did this, are in such a relaxed state, it's like, what is the energy of your soul? What is the energy of your spirit? And it's like, wow, I'm playful. I'm joyful, I'm relaxed, I don't need anything.
Yeah.
And like when you start to become aware of what that is for you, you know, I have this rule in my life right now that if anything is bringing me a sense of urgency, it's out, right? Because the soul doesn't want to operate off of urgency, ever, you know, in my experience.
How do you do that? Say more about that for my own benefit, because I have I have a lot of urgency staff, and I know that it's not. I know that that's not the direction I'm supposed to be going, and yet it has been drilled into me for so long, and I'm doing it to myself because I'm the boss, right? So like,
totally.
there's not anybody that's above me telling me what I have to do or where I have to be. It's like
you need to be here in 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the one who's fucking myself in this situation.
Totally.
How do you do you have suggestions for just kind of getting that right in your head of, I don't need to do that. Like, there's not an end. There's not a finish line, you know? So I literally have these conversations where I'm logistically in my head going, what are you doing? Right? Because I don't need to be doing this. I'm creating my own stress. I'm creating my own, like, oh, this has to happen. This has to happen. And it's like, and then what happened? What if it didn't, right? What if this didn't happen? What if you did let that fall? What if this did fall apart? Instead of it just being like, oh my God, I got to go. I got to get all of these things. But I've just always put all of that pressure on myself where it's, I know that it's not healthy. But the urgency is right. That's a pretty fascinating thing.
It's huge. I love what you're saying, because I lived with this my whole life, right? And it's a total survival instinct. It's a survival response. It's how we survived for so long. Was like, okay, I know for me, when I located this belief within myself, I think everything is beliefs and the state of your nervous system, right? And so when I located this belief that it's all up to me, I was like, oh shit, but is it? And when I started to go deeper within this work, it was like, well, where in my life did life happen for me where there wasn't urgency? And I looked at that and I was like, wow, some of the most incredible experiences of my life and opportunities that came to me were not from force. They were not from any sense of urgency. It was me being in the right place at the right time. It was being in connection and following my nervous system and my soul's guidance, right? When I empty and I get real present in life. And it's fascinating because it's still a work in progress for me. And so the way that I do it, or I guide clients to it, is how do I allow myself to be as present as possible? And you and I both know, like, I run my own business. I also have a retreat business with my friend. You have multiple businesses, right? And like, I can get in that state still where I'm like, I have to get this done and this done. And, you know, it's tax season right now. And I'm like, like all the things I need to do. And then I sit and I go, okay, wait, listen, let's remember, because I'm starting to feel this urgency and this chaotic energy start to creep up. And I know that I can't create any art from that place. I'm not present from that place. And I'm actually just trying really hard to make something happen so that it's connected to this belief that actually I belong and I'm doing enough. And if I do enough, then I'm going to be loved. Because the biggest human fear that we have as a society is I'm not enough. And if I'm not enough, I'm not going to be loved. So if I just make sure that I get all of this done and I do it with urgency, which I know I can do because I've done it my whole life, then I'll be enough. Like, that was really, when I got down to it, that was really what's happening, as opposed to when I'm relaxed and working and when I'm in flow and working. Like, the female nervous system is not created and designed to be disciplined and structured every single day. It's not. And when I'm in flow, I actually get more done. I'm like doing a work email in the car, and then I go to a coffee shop. But like, we have this thing that says you need to sit down behind your laptop for 8 hours and get it done. But I get my best work done when I'm actually in the flow, and I swung around my stripper pole for 10 minutes in the morning and I got my coffee and all the things. So it really, like, again, sharing from my experience, it boils down to, have I tended to my nervous system? Have I tended to my soil to get to a state to where I'm not running my day from my head? Because if you get in your head, you're dead. Tony Robbins. And it's like, wow, okay, what really wants to happen from this state, from this soil, from this richness? And can I trust this? And when I think about the times that happened in my life, it's like, it's always led me there. You know?
Here's the deal. Your life isn't going to magically fix itself. Nobody's coming to save you. But you can learn how to save yourself. That's what this book is. It's a no BS guide to stop outsourcing your happiness, stop making excuses, and start living with purpose. If you're tired of waiting for someday, consider this your wake-up call. Someday is today. Get your copy of the Life Hack Playbook on Amazon or on the podcast website, letsgetnakedpodcast.com.
Yes. Well, and it's wild to me too, because I'm at this place in the last couple of years where I realized, okay, I had this same thing where you're talking about being enough, and my worth came from me producing, right? Which is the masculine. And so I was a workaholic. That was the whole thing for me. And I was very successful in that. But I look back and it's like, that's not where I want to be coming from. And also, that's not where the good shit lives. Like, I can force and grind and push, but the flow that you're talking about, you're not wrong. Like, when you get in that place, the synchronicities that happen, the opportunities that come to you, you're just literally on the ride.
Yeah.
Get your fucking hands up, have a good time. and the big guy will just bring everything to you that needs to be, in your orbit. And I love that so much, and also still struggle with, right? One foot in the other side of like, okay, great, I'm in the flow, but this shit's falling apart over here. And still being okay with that, or understanding that maybe that wasn't part of what needed to be the recipe right now anyways. So it's kind of at this place of figuring all of that out and allowing myself to do that. I had a big part of my healing was I couldn't even say the words "I am enough" without tearing up and getting literally I could feel it everywhere in my body.
I've been there.
Exactly.
Sure.
And so getting that in the last couple of years of just saying it, and that was part of just say it and feel it, say it and feel it, say it and feel it. But it was just, you have to get that kind of shit cleared out of there because I am enough no matter what happens, no matter what I produce, no matter, all of the things. But why is that as women? Like, where do you feel like that stems from? Because there's so many of us women. I don't know if men deal with that, but there's so many of us women that, that feel like we're not enough. And it's like, where does that stem from? For me, it's like, I kind of, got that back to just not feeling like I was ever praised. I was always the big, loud, obnoxious, keep it down, all of that. And so it just never felt like I was enough, and that it was always too much, and it was, trying to hinder that or
bottle it down. Don't be your authentic self. Yeah, it's like it's pure conditioning, right? So like, I really believe that we choose our parents too. I believe that we choose our family. It's something that makes me feel good in the world, and even when it comes to my son, and like there's something challenging going on in his world, right? Like, I'm sure all of us as mothers have this thing where we want to jump in and we want to fix it because there are babies.
absolutely.
But like, we have to, let me speak for myself, I have to let my son understand how to move through difficult situations, how to sit with difficult feelings, uncomfortable feelings, and empower him that this is a part of life. And actually, this is the very thing that makes you brave, that makes you courageous. And that's what creates confidence in the world, right? Like, you keep showing up for yourself in hard things. And I didn't always have that mindset, right? And on the other side of that, like, trusting his soul. Like, wow, like, your soul came to fulfill a theme, to fulfill a destiny, and you're going to go through challenges and experiences very different from mine. But the more I trust his soul, the more I trust my soul, what I went through, I don't become a victim to my past anymore. Right. And again, the conditioning and the things that we go through, like, I'm sure anybody would be like, why would anybody choose to be severely abused and be an alcoholic and a drug addict and all these things? And, I would never change any of that ever because of the self-respect I have now and actually how I'm able to serve. Like, I genuinely hate to see people suffer. Yeah. And I think I'm so good at what I do because I understand sadness. I know what that feels like. I understand what it feels like to not want to be on this earth. I understand what it is to feel like I'm not enough. And I also know what it feels like to go, damn, I did that and I am enough, right? And so with that being said, it's like, wow, I think we all have those beliefs to some degree. And I think that's a part of the human journey is to taste the rainbow, taste the colors of the rainbow in in our problems and our circumstances, because it is the very thing that gets us to allow us to taste literal gold. And what I mean by that is like, you know, the one issue we have is we think we're not supposed to have problems. But problems are the very things that make us grow.
Yeah.
And if I can get curious with my circumstance rather than shame myself, victimize myself, and say I'm not worthy, and realize, I mean, I had an experience the other day. I had a full-on meltdown, and it came out of nowhere because I'm really working on growing my business in a way I have never done before in my life. I made a huge investment last year, and I bet on myself. I took a risk on myself, and this is like vulnerable for me to share now, right? But like, that was the biggest thing I had ever done on my own. And I broke down the other day because, you know, I got to move this to this, and I've already redone this, and now I got to pay for someone else to do this part, and like all the things that come with business. And I broke down and I was in tears. And for the first time, I wasn't going, what's wrong and what do I need to do next to fix it? Or why isn't this working? Why is this happening to me? Literally, I broke down in tears, and I was letting my body feel what she needed to feel. And I was like, I am so worthy of all of this working out. Because I'm not doing this to get something. I will do this till the day that I die. However, I've always had this belief that it was hard, that it was hard to make money, that it was hard to be worthy, that it was hard. Life is hard. And all the work of all the experiences that I have had, and to be able to have a breakdown and a breakthrough to go, no, I believe in myself. I took the risk. I wouldn't have had that feeling of deservingness and worthiness and love in the world unless I took the big risk and took the bravery and took the courage, even though I didn't know how the hell it was going to happen, because my purpose of being in service is far greater than anything I can get in life. You know what I mean? I don't know if that answered your question, but it just
I don't
felt
even
like
remember
a
what
big
my question was, but
encompassing thing.
But what I'll tell you is, I love everything that you're saying, because I believe the exact same thing. It's like when you find your purpose, yes, of course you want to be able to make enough money to pay the bills and be comfortable and all the things. But you're called to do that stuff, where it's like, for me, with the podcast, with the book, with the stuff that I do, I don't know what this is going to. No fucking clue. Doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Like, I believe I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, and I know that you feel the exact same way. And we are supposed to bet on ourselves. And it does get scary, though, because when you do these big things where it's just like, oh fuck, I'm really flapping in the breeze out here, right?
Flapping in the breeze.
Right, like I have this whole thing where, oh my God, this is weird that I'm saying this right now. 2 years ago on Valentine's Day.
Oh wow.
It was when I started my surrender experiment. So Michael Singer's The Untethered Soul, and then he wrote the surrender experiment, and it talks about how he just surrendered, and how all of this crazy ways that his life went. And I'm like, at that point I was balls deep in doing all of the things for that. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to fucking give that a try. I'm going to see. That's where I was in my experiment 2 years ago on Valentine's Day. And so I have this image of me on this hike with a couple of my girlfriends where my hands are up, and there's a picture of it from behind, right? So I continue to double down on that. And it's like, okay, I'm doubling down on that again. Just continually, because I do feel like I'm doing the right thing. Where is it going? No idea. Never disappointed, right? I have people that, reach out that I had an impact on this or an impact on that, or, whatever it is, or I needed this day, or I heard this, or this book really did something for me. That's the shit that feeds my soul, right? That doesn't feed my bank account. I believe that that's part of all of the things, and everything will do exactly what it's supposed to. But it feeds my soul in a way that I never realized. I never tended to my soul like that. I spent a lot of, decades of my life letting my ego lead, with not even realizing that my soul was kind of just dragging around behind there. It was like on a poor, sad rope, just didn't even know what the fuck was happening. Now I live a life that's very soul forward, with my ego doing doing that.
But maybe
you know?
that was the point all along,
Of course
right?
it was, right? Because I believe things happen to you,
That's
not
it.
or for you, not to you,
Exactly.
right? So when you do that, when you say like all of the things that happened when you were a kid or all of the things, it's like, I wouldn't change anything either. I have a whole fucking semi-truck full of bullshit, fucked up things that have happened to me in my life. Wouldn't change a single one of them. Wouldn't change a single thing in my past.
Yeah.
Was it hard? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I would not be the fucking badass that I am had I not gone through that. You know,
Yeah.
we've done this thing where when we're raising our kids, we overcorrected. This is my personal opinion. I think we overcorrected and we took away things from our children that build confidence for them. And they're like,
Yes.
oh, we don't want you to struggle. We don't want you to struggle. And so we took all of those things away, but that's where they build confidence.
That's
And so
it.
now you have kids who are scared to take the trash
Yep.
to the fucking curb in the dark, where at that age, we were out in the middle of a field setting shit on fire,
Barefoot.
smoking and drinking and fucking, I mean, just running amok.
Yeah.
I could run the fuck out of amok with you. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
just
We're
that
all
was
some fun.
yes,
Yeah.
like that is the kind of shit that I brought. And now we're raising kids that are completely
Yeah.
incapable, and not all of them, obviously, but that's what the result
Yeah.
of that is giving everybody participation trophies. It's not making kids really earn, you know, and put
Yeah.
stuff into the confidence building. That's what that happens. And if they stumble
It's
and
only
fall,
through trying it.
exactly. It's
That's
like
it.
you're
Yeah.
supposed to have scraped knees.
Yep.
You're supposed to have all of that. And
You're
is it
supposed
hard
to
to
fall down.
watch? Absolutely,
Yeah.
right? Like we had a thing with my middle daughter where we were going through a season that was so hard for me. And I said to Cameron, I'm like, it is so hard to watch. And he looked at me with as much love and just said, then look the other way. And I thought, God, you sweet muffin. Just sweet muffin of a man, right? Because it's
I
just...
love him. I haven't even met him, and I'm
he's,
obsessed.
He's really fab. I mean, he just knows everything that I
Yeah,
need
of
to hear
course.
when it's time. But
The
it's like,
intimacy.
that's what I needed to hear. I
Yeah.
needed to know that it was going to be okay. He
Yeah.
said, we're not meant to not let her fall. We're meant to be like the soft landing when she does fall, so that it isn't like just, you know, ruins her life kind of thing.
Yeah.
But our kids are meant to do that, as all of us are. We're meant to do things that are bold and wild and that always don't work out, but they do
That's
work
it.
out for your highest good. You know, like we need all of those kind of things. So I totally encourage people to look the other way while their kids are doing whatever the hell it is they're doing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, everything that you're saying, like it reminds me again, right? That, like this recipe, and there's no right way or wrong way. It's just like, I also believe like you can't fuck it up.
Yeah.
I remember I was in a reading with a medium. I had two siblings that passed, and when I went to go see her, my oldest brother was watching this Amazon show about people that committed suicide and just getting some understanding and awareness about the souls, and it was really beautiful. So we came across this woman, and maybe about a week after he had made his transition. And he's watching the show, and he was like, I just was really drawn to her. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, and she's like, yeah, I live in Gilbert, Arizona. She's on this show on Amazon. And he finds her, and she lives 2 miles away from my mom. Like, again, life happening for us. Yep. You can't make this up.
Nope.
These are the little miracles that we are not in control of and are somehow so perfectly placed in the divine exact time and place that you need it. So anyway, I go to her, and I'm like really moving through some challenges with alcoholism, of course. And I believe addiction, the definition of addiction is using something that almost works over and over and over. And it's why you keep needing more of it, you know? And I was in so much shame, and she just looked at me. She's so cute. She's like a tiny little fairy, I swear. She's like 4'2" and so adorable. She's got these giant wings in her office, and I'm just like sitting in there, and I'm hearing from my sister, and my brother was so cool. And we're talking about this kind of shame around alcohol, and she just looks at me, and she's like, you know, you can't fuck up your destiny. Even what you're doing right now. Even in this moment, with all the shame that you're feeling and all the mistakes that you're making, you can't mess it up. She's like, your guides really need you to know this. You can't mess it up. And that has really stuck with me and has given me, like, in challenging times when I feel maybe stuck or like I'm moving through something hard or got some hard feelings, and it's like, I can't fuck it up.
Yeah.
And I know this to be true. And then that brings me to the next part of the recipe when we're learning about loving ourselves and talk about Valentine's Day and all this beautiful, you know, awarenesses that we're having is acceptance. And acceptance to what? Well, acceptance that this is life.
Yeah.
And if we just think that we're going to get to this place and be happy forever, we're missing the point of what it even means to be alive.
You're looking all the way down there and you're missing the magic that's happening fucking right here. Life happens in those little moments, you know? So when you talk about being present, I think that's everything.
That's it.
You know, I read the book, The Power of Now, several years ago. And just by like paying attention as you're washing your hands, what does the water feel like? What does the smoke, soap smell like? What is the whatever? And when you really are plugged into the things that you're doing, loading the dishwasher, right? It doesn't even fucking matter. Whatever those things are, what a beautiful way to come at life. And I literally think I'm a nut job at this point, because I used to have all of this shit and I'm like, okay, I'm going and I'm doing and I'm da-da. And now I'm sitting here going, I'm really enjoying loading the dishwasher. And I don't fucking care if this is right or wrong. This is the way better way to live life. Instead of sitting there going, what did Sheila say? What did she mean when she said that? What did that text mean? Was that a heart that was a condescending thing? Or was that, fuck off. Like paint everything from a good place. Like every text I read is like you like me. Could I be wrong? Maybe. Do I fucking care? Nope. Why would I come from this place? But that's our fucked up brains that are like, oh, what did so-and-so say? Did I do something wrong? And you just...
Trying to protect us.
Yeah, but it's like...
trying to perceive.
Stop.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That whole thing that tells you that you're not good enough or that someone... Stop it. You're holding the fucking paintbrush. Paint it however you want.
I always say when I'm like guiding someone through an experience, it's like, see your thoughts. For a lot of people, it's hard to slow down. It's hard to get to that state. So we need to work the system, activate it so that there's movement, there's blood flow, get in that state to where you can actually get those thoughts to slow down. But what I will often say is like, your thoughts are not wrong, right? There's a part of our brain that is accessing your amygdala, your hippocampus that holds memory and all these different files of things that you have been through. So thank you. Thank you for holding these files and protecting me, but there's not a big tiger running after me right now. And if you can start to witness your thoughts and see them as clouds moving by in the sky, could you just witness them without making them wrong, right, bad, good? Can you just witness them in this moment? And then anchor back down in your breath, you know? And like, there's a way where we can start to separate it, but also embrace it and start to choose our thoughts, right? Like being able to recognize that thoughts, this was hard for me. Thoughts literally carry a frequency. And a lot of the times the thoughts that we are thinking are 80% the same as the day before.
You're just literally sending an invitation to the universe to just keep bringing more of the same fucking bullshit.
That's it.
It's true.
And the repatterning of that, right? Like getting into your nervous system and actually doing that work. So where your body is not feeling so anxious and tight, which is just the information that your thinking patterns are in a certain way anyway. And so like, how do we bring these two together in alignment so that it can be a vehicle? It can be a vehicle, right? And we can start to have choice and sovereignty over those thoughts. And so now it's like, okay, well, what is my identity? Well, my identity is everything is working out for me. I always figure it out. There's always enough. There's always more coming. Life is always what I make of it. And fuck yeah.
Isn't it so beautiful to come from that space, though? Because then you're living in that, right? I believe the same thing. I think, you know, I look back at, and mainly more so in the last couple of years where I've really understood the power of that, but that has been my thought pattern for my entire life is I'm getting the next thing. I'm feeling the emotion to the next thing. That's why I have done and am where I am right now. And I can look back and think, I remember thinking, this is the woman that I wanted to be at the age that I am now. And now I'm here, right? And it's like, isn't that wild? It's like, you get to do that. You get to do that. And is there more into it? Absolutely. But it is, you know, being able to put the thoughts and the positive stuff. Don't be terrible to yourself up here. You're literally just calling in the same stuff. So when you say, I don't have enough, when you come from a place of lack, when you're all of the negative stuff, you're looking for negative stuff, right? You're the victim, you're all the things. You're creating your own life. You're the architect. You're in co-creation with the big guy of whatever life it is. If that's what you want, then by all means, keep putting out the fucking signal to keep bringing the bullshit. But if you want good stuff, go ahead and start doing things, looking
Yeah.
for the stuff, right? I talk about doing a gratitude journal or putting a notes in your phone that says good things keep happening to me. And then when
That's it.
good things
So
are happening,
simple.
you know, instead of going to a function and talking to people about the same stupid shit or the ugly shoes Sheila's
talking
wearing.
about other people.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like start the conversation with, tell me about a win that's happened for
Yeah.
you recently. That sets the fucking tone. Use that
it.
as the PSA that it is, right? Just try
Yeah.
that one thing.
Yeah.
Try that one thing. Be a fucking positive person instead of somebody else that just fucking screams into the void about the stupid shit that you believe. No one gives a fuck. Like use those Skittles to actually fucking
Yeah.
bring good shit into your life. Like
Yeah.
you realize you're the one holding the paintbrush. And I just don't think people
Yeah.
realize that. I think they think life is happening to them, that, oh my God, how could this be? You're coming from this victim mentality. And it's like, boss, you called all that in.
I love that you're sharing this because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, for people sitting at home that are like, how do I do this, right?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, language, right? We all have different meaning of words. Words carry meaning.
They do.
But words also send a signal to our body. And so even what we're thinking and what we're saying out loud, like you just said something that made me think of that, where some people are like, you know, always saying I'm sorry or saying out loud, why do I always do this? Why am I like this? Right? Just saying that, you will notice in your body, your physiology will start to crumble. You will feel low energy and you won't be able to have any motivation, which I think motivation is shit. I think you really have to be able to anchor in yourself that inner motivation to get up and do the thing. But like how, right? So if words are the carrier of meaning, and when you think a thought, you feel it. And then once you feel it, that creates the behavior within you. And then that becomes your personal reality, your personality. And we create these habits, like you were saying. And so every day you're basically having the same thoughts, the feelings, the behavior, and habits. So for somebody at home who's like, I really want to change and I really want to find a way to, you know, create new pathways in my brain that are in alignment, that I can believe, because there's also another thing where if you like overreach, then you're just going to shame yourself for not getting there fast enough too, right? So something that you can actually believe. And so a couple ways that you can do this is, number one, you have to get in your physiology first. You have to get in your physiology first. Getting in your physiology, creating blood flow will almost every single time change your state. When your state is in a place where it's open, it's so much easier to become aware. When you're aware, you can start to notice your thoughts and you can start to reframe. And then when you reframe, and what that can look like too is like going outside on a walk. Best thing to do for yourself is go outside in nature and go on a walk. But when you're reframing, you can trick your brain. And so there was a period in my life where I had severe gut issues. I had IBS, constipation, like all the time. I literally lived with it for 2 weeks at a time. And I came back home and I went to go get a colonic. I love it. And I'm in there and I was actually going through a very challenging time in my life. Of course, my body is literally like, we're bracing, we're not letting go. There's too much fear here. Makes so much sense. So I'm in there and this woman is guiding me and helping me. And she's like, right now you are in a state of hating your body so much that this is what's happening. And it's creating so much more suffering and so many more problems. And she was like, you have to try to trick your brain and your body to look for the solution, because the brain is always trying to look for the solution, whether you want it or not. It's going to look for, this is my belief about myself, so I'm going to look for the perceived threat in the room so that I can, right? It's always solution based. So how do we make our solution more valuable for ourselves? Well, she said, write down in your journal, my colon works for me because, my body works for me because, my digestive system works for me because. And so I would write down, my digestive system works for me because I process life with ease. My digestive system works for me because I allow myself to allow emotions to flow through me, right? Because I had a bracing issue at that time. My body works for me because I eat nourishing foods that make me feel alive. and you start to say this, and you're giving the brain a job to look for why it's happening. And the more that you do that, you're like training your system, and you can really do this for anything. You can do this for anything in your life. So changing your state, getting in your physiology first, getting into your breath, noticing the thoughts, and then writing down, this works for me because, and give the brain a job to look for a healthy solution so that you can really make sustainable changes in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing because when you understand that you have the power,
Yeah.
it's huge.
Yeah.
Right? We're not back in the day where our parents were, where they didn't have the internet and you only could pick up the rotary phone with the cord that's still attached to it, and they didn't have the fucking internet. So if you didn't know, you didn't know, and people were too ashamed to share information. It's like you can literally find anything out there.
Totally.
You know? So if you're lacking in any area in your life and you're not sure why, figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, figure it out. I wrote the book that I did because it's like the visualization of being able to see all of these nuggets from all of these amazing books. I think I read like 150 or 200 books over the last 8 or 9 years of just personal improvement stuff. No one's going to do that. I mean,
didn't it just come to you too?
Yeah,
Like that was
yeah,
like a
well, I
life
just
moving
channeling
through
all
you.
that
Yeah,
shit. Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, it's all the stuff that I've been saying for years,
Yeah.
but it's all stuff where it was like, that would be helpful. That would be helpful. I didn't understand boundaries because I think a lot of people don't understand boundaries.
Yeah.
Let me explain it
I
to
did
you in a
not.
way that I finally got to where it clicked for me.
Right.
And then I explain it and put some stories in there and some tips and tricks and whatever. I'm continually blown away by the feedback that I'm getting on this book. I was on a lady's podcast yesterday, this lovely doctor from Minnesota, and she's like, I read your book this weekend. This is really good. I'm like, thank you. I think so too. You know, but I'm getting these things where it's like, I get it now. The visualizations are clicking. I'm able to work with this stuff now, whether it's energy or whether it's like just whatever the hell it is, understanding that no one's coming to save you.
Yep.
You have to fucking save yourself. And there's no, I don't have money for therapy or I don't whatever. No. You got to fucking stop that shit, right? Because there's a way no matter what. So maybe you don't have money right now for traditional therapy. Buy a book, buy a journal, fucking get quiet, put your goddamn phone down and go out in nature, right? Like, take a blanket and go lay in the grass.
Yeah, there you
anywhere.
go.
It doesn't matter where it is. And just be still with yourself. What's going to come up? At first, your body's going to scream.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to know what to do because you've been numbing on top of it, right? For so long. That girl wants out, right? That 8-year-old girl that's underneath all that fucking muck that we haven't addressed. That we just numb on top of. It's like I look at these women who their self-care consists of doom scrolling. I'm like, who has ever felt better after you've doom scrolled?
Yeah, overconsumption.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, we can't handle it.
Open your eyes and be aware of the things that you're doing that make you feel good.
That's
the
it.
people that you hang out with that make you feel good. Open your eyes to the people that you feel drained after you spend time with them, or obligations that you're doing that make you feel drained. Stop doing those things. Start doing more things that make you feel good. That's it, right? Trade one every day, because if your cup is fucking full of just bullshit, you got to let something go before you have room for anything else. But if you just made that trade as often as you can, this does no good, right? There's certain things, obviously, that you can't do that with. But for anything that you can, pay attention. Your body's going to be like, ooh, that was juicy. That felt good. Do more of that shit, right? Whatever that shit is. Yeah. You know, do less of the things that make you feel like garbage. That's it. Whether it's food, whether it's time spent, whether it's how your brain thinks, whether it's any of it. That's the game. That's how you find it, right?
Yeah, I love hearing you talk. I could just sit here and be like, it's like, it's so empowering.
Well, I'm so passionate. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so passionate because I look at my life, what felt like I was in black and white. And please understand, I lived a really good life in my last one. But this fucking reincarnation, which is what it feels like to me to be on this side of it, I can't tell you how much fucking energy I have and how amazing things are because I like opened my eyes, started fucking paying attention, and started doing simple things where it's like, you don't need to do all the things that I did. Did I take a bunch of therapy and a bunch of healing modalities and all the things? Absolutely. Yeah. Do I recommend it? Sure. If you've got fucking 10 years and a bunch of money laying around, do those things. But if you don't, get a fucking copy of the book and start working through some shit, right?
And like, give yourself, this is what I was going to say earlier. It just came back. So thank you. Because we were talking about like how to co-create your life and do those things. And you just reminded me of it. Like giving yourself a chance to like, literally, I can right now just be like, I am so happy to be here. And I can start to smile and I can genuinely feel that in my body. But if we're just like this all day long and just, again, like doom scrolling, which trust me, I have been there.
We all have, right? We all have, right? For sure.
but like giving yourself to give your body and your brain and all those things a chance to be in the energy of that. Like really give yourself a chance to go, I can create this feeling for myself now, and I don't need a box of chocolates or roses or a man to tell me I'm beautiful to be enough, because I am enough. My worth, like you were saying, does not come from any amount of money. It does not come from how much I do in the world. It does not come from abandoning my own needs to be there for someone else. It is realizing that the greatest gift in life is to literally be present and have connection with the people that you love. And everything else comes. When I stop needing things, they fucking flow to me.
Agreed.
Like nothing.
Agreed
right?
with you 1,000%.
Because I'm not tied to this outcome of like, I need this to make me feel better, which is actually what a lot of people in manifestation world get caught up in, is like, when I get this, then I will.
Yes.
When really it is now. And like back to what you were saying about women, our number one down regulator is oxytocin. We actually heal our nervous system through pleasure, bliss, and beauty, which is, like you were saying, getting outside and being in nature. That's pleasure to our nervous system. Writing something down, taking a bath, like as cheesy as it sounds, dancing, go dancing, shake your ass, twerk and shake. It literally will change your life.
I dance every morning. Like you guys should.
Me too.
I didn't even doubt that for a second. Get out of the shower and you're dancing it. Oh yes. I mean, your body wants to fucking move. Let it move. Do more of that, right? I feel so good after I dance. I'm going to do more of that. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming and talking with me today. This has been so much fun. I'm gonna wrap up the show unless you have something else you want to add.
No,
it's just
great.
amazing.
I love it.
Yeah, I love that you came and chatted with us. So that's our time for today. If you have questions, suggestions, or think you have a story to add and want to be on the podcast, send us an email. Our email address is ladies@letsgetnakedpodcast.com, or you can DM the show. Do all the things to support the pod. Follow, share, rate, and review. And that's all we're going to say for today. So that's a wrap.
That's a wrap, baby.
I love it.